Today in crypto, Bitcoin could be gearing up for another test of $10,000. Wall Street, they just can't stop buying up all of the Bitcoin. You are not going to believe the numbers. Cardano announces a date for the Shelly rollout. Bakkt, still a thing apparently. And Goldman Sachs, they can't even come up with some good FUD to bash Bitcoin with. The Cryptolark. This is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the wild, wild lands of crypto. By the way, I've started time-stamping the videos, so if you want to skip forward to any particular section, just click down below. It's in the description. So let's jump into the charts to get started off with today. Bitcoin, it has had a nice bit of price action today, coming back up to around $9,500 at the time recording this video. Taking a look at the shorter time frames, we can see Bitcoin continuing to coil up through this triangle. Now we can expect some resistance to really come into play here if we get as far up as $9,800, if we do see that price continue to rally, of course. If we fail to break out of the triangle, then we could see Bitcoin coming back down to $9,000, testing the lower end support range of this pattern. And if it breaks to the downside, of course, you need to then start watching the 200-day moving average around $8,000 as a key line of support. Now, it is also possible that the price just continues coiling and coiling and coiling for the next few weeks before we have a really big breakout happen. If, big if, of course, if this pattern does play out to the upside, then the implied price target is around $11,500, which would be an incredibly bullish move for Bitcoin, blasting us past both the strong resistance around $10,000 and, of course, also setting a new high for 2020 by finally breaking past that really strong line of resistance around $10,500. $10,500, it is really the number to beat right now. If we did, it would represent a strong macro trend reversal that would set us in motion, potentially get back on the road to $20,000 and new all-time highs. The higher time frames for Bitcoin, they are also looking strong. Bitcoin is consolidating right now around that descending line of resistance. And very, very importantly, the 50-week moving average, it has held up amazingly as support over the last month, which is a very, very key line. And of course, that is coming closer and closer to that descending line of resistance, meaning that we're going to move in one way or the other relatively soon. This is looking very bullish overall. If we continue to see that hold, then it gives us a really strong launch pad for the price to potentially rocket off in the coming months. A big thank you to Cryptodotcom for sponsoring today's episode. The next syndicate event has been announced. There will be $500,000 worth of Cardano up for grabs at a 50% discount. To be eligible for this sale, you must have an account on the exchange and be staking CRO tokens. Another perk for exchange users is that there will be a 2% bonus on deposits for all crypto deposited to the exchange. Of course, terms and conditions do apply, but it is a sweet perk while it lasts. And if you are trading on the exchange, remember that there will be a Tesla Model 3 up for grabs and prizes for trading on the exchange. And a reminder too that the ever popular Cryptodotcom debit card, it is now shipping all across the European Union and is coming to Canada next. Now this comes in addition, of course, to the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. You can grab yours today and start earning crypto back with every swipe of your card. The Ruby Red card gives you 2% cash back and free Spotify, and the Jade Green card, which is this one here, gives you 3% cash back on all purchases, as well as free Netflix, free Spotify, free airport lounge access, and premium lending rates in the Cryptodotcom app. And as a special bonus, if you sign up using the link down below in the description, then you will get $50 in free crypto when reserving your Ruby Red tier card or higher. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the news. The first big story is that Charles Hoskinson has given an actual date when the Shelly upgrade is going to go live on the mainnet. The hard fork, it is scheduled for the end of July. The first staking rewards are scheduled to happen around August 18th for people newly joining the network. For those of you who've been on the testnet, you'll get your rewards in early August. This is going to be a major upgrade for Cardano. It's likely going to drive a lot more demand for the token, especially if those staking rewards are lucrative enough. Next up, privacy-focused DeFi interoperability protocol REN has launched its one-for-one backed tokens on Ethereum. So REN has launched Wrapped Bitcoin, Wrapped Bitcoin Cash, and Wrapped Zcash. While we already do have some different Wrapped Bitcoin variants, seeing even more assets like Zcash, for example, slowly being added into the mix, I think it is really, really cool to see. We're going to continue to get more and more assets actually tokenized on Ethereum, allowing all these decentralized exchanges to have access to these different assets. The DEX volumes, they're only going to continue to rise. Okay, now on to the big stories of the day, and it's all about Wall Street today. The first one is about Bakkt. You remember Bakkt, right? The Wall Street play to offer physically settled Bitcoin futures for Wall Street traders. And then they kind of pivoted to not being so backed by offering junk paper cash settled contracts for Bitcoin trading. Well, they still do offer the physically settled stuff. And apparently, it seems that the physically settled contracts that they offer are actually starting to gain popularity, now doing more volume than the cash settled variety. So the latest data shows that the majority of their contracts are now settled in Bitcoin, not in cash. Now Bakkt, you got to keep it real. It's still a baby in terms of volume when you compare it to the CME and their cash settled futures, or even really any of the crypto native exchanges. But the original Bakkt thesis, it does still hold true. If these contracts continue to gain in popularity with investors and traders, then an increasing amount of Bitcoin will be needed to be bought up off of the spot markets to physically back, and then of course to physically settle these contracts. Now, to be clear, I'm not super comfortable with the huge accumulation that we see starting to take place on Wall Street, but it is happening. You can't ignore reality. And this next story, I really think that it underlines what is happening on Wall Street right now. Grayscale, they're in the news again. They are buying up literally all of the newly mined Bitcoin. But that is not all. They are buying so much Bitcoin, it's the equivalent of 150% of all newly mined Bitcoin. Since the Bitcoin halving, Grayscale has bought 19,000 Bitcoin, but only 12,300 Bitcoin has been mined in that time. Did you hear what I just said? This is crazy. This one single entity is buying 50% more Bitcoin than is being produced right now. Holy duck and duck, man, this is wild. One single entity is sucking up more Bitcoin right now than the miners can actually produce on a daily basis. And then, of course, we can factor in all the other entities buying up Bitcoin, Fidelity and Bakkt, and hedge funds, millionaires and billionaires, your Uncle Bob, and yes, even you and me. This is craziness. Now, you might start to ask yourself, seeing a story like that, well, Lark, why has the price not mooned if this is happening? Got an answer for that. Because smart players like this, they're buying their Bitcoin OTC, so it's not getting registered on the exchanges when they make these. They're not going out and doing a market order on Kraken for $200 million. They actively buy dips, and they do everything in their power to accumulate Bitcoin very quietly, very stealthily, so as not to cause big price spikes so they can continue to accumulate. Another factor, too, of course, is that miners are actually starting to offload their inventory from what they mined before the halving. That's creating a lot of selling pressure right now. Once this pressure clears up, then we will start to see the price of Bitcoin responding more to this massive increase in demand that we've seen. So you need to understand the price, it's not going to stay under $10,000 forever. Much sooner than many people realize, this demand is going to start having a big effect on the price. Why? Because literally one single entity is buying more Bitcoin than is being produced right now. There's no way the price stays where it is right now long term. Demand is rising for Bitcoin. across the board right now. And while we see this demand rising, the supply, it's being gobbled up with a single entity and with just intensity that we've never really seen before, with all these new players starting to enter the market. This cycle that we're seeing right now, this is going to be the cycle when we really see Wall Street FOMO into Bitcoin. All these hedge funds and stuff, they're coming. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. The good thing is that the price is going to go up. Moon time, baby. The bad thing is that if this trend continues, then Wall Street players like Bakkt and like Grayscale, they're going to end up controlling an uncomfortably large percentage of the Bitcoin supply, allowing them, of course, to run even more manipulation games than they already do. And you know how Wall Street loves this manipulation. But regardless of the long-term impact, you cannot argue with the reality of the impact that this demand is going to start having on the price throughout 2020, moving into 2021. Very exciting times ahead. Also, Grayscale, while primarily being into Bitcoin, they are also buying huge amounts of Ethereum. You can see on this chart here how much in dollar value they currently hold of different assets. Yes, Bitcoin is number one, but Ethereum is number two. Don't sleep on Ethereum, guys. Also, the funny thing is that while all of this is happening, Goldman Sachs, they tried to FUD Bitcoin the other day. But of course, the attempts by Goldman Sachs to run out and FUD Bitcoin didn't work. Nobody cares about you, Goldman Sachs. And look, the Goldman Sachs FUD, it wasn't even good FUD, man. It was just recycled garbage from the past. They were like, oh, Tulip Mania. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Come on, Tulip Mania. Let's find something new, guys. Seriously. They brought up other FUD like, oh, Bitcoin's just used by criminals, in spite, of course, of all relevant metrics and studies into this particular topic, showing that it is around 0.1% of all transactions and that the dollar remains king of criminality. Look, this stuff from Goldman Sachs is either total ignorance from them or directed FUD to allow them to get more Bitcoin before the hedge funds flood in. Maybe they're just saying, stop, hedge funds, don't buy Bitcoin. We need to get some more. I mean, the fact that they had to address Bitcoin anyway on a client call, it really tells you everything that you need to know. The hedge funds, the high net worth individuals, the Wall Street traders, all these guys, they all are interested in and want to buy Bitcoin. The numbers literally prove it. Just look at Grayscale. Never believe what the bankers say. And just to show how little everyone cares about the opinions of Goldman Sachs, the day after their FUD attempt for Bitcoin, Bitcoin is up by $500. Long Bitcoin, short the banks, stack those sats, and chill, my friends. Anyone doubting where we are going long term, they are not paying attention. Anyway, your question for today. Are you worried that Wall Street is becoming too influential in the Bitcoin markets? Do you see Grayscale buying such massive amounts of Bitcoin as a bad thing for Bitcoin? Or is this just a sign of the market maturing and it's really just a healthy thing to see all these Wall Street guys getting involved in Bitcoin? Let me know your opinion down below in the comment section. As always, super keen to hear what you have to say. Hope you're having a freaking awesome day. Got a really, really great interview coming up for you with Simon Dixon, by the way, over the weekend. So you've got to make sure you watch that. It's absolute fire. So keep an eye out for that to drop over the weekend. Anyway, hope you're having an awesome one. Thank you so much. Long live the blockchain. And peace out till next time.